Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm doing a full solo playthrough of Galactic Cruise. In this heavyweight worker placement game, we play as a supervisor for a company that offers luxury cruise vacations in space. Our goal is to impress the board of directors and get hired as the new CEO, by scoring the most victory points, of course. Now I went ahead and I got everything set up for a solo game. You set it up just as you would for a two-player game. Our solo opponent is Rachel, and they are going to closely mimic a real player. So you set up their personal board just as you would set up your own, except that they don't need resource markers, nor starting money, ads, or an agenda card. Shuffle up their action deck, and place their 3 personal goals nearby. We also start with 3 neutral developments on the board, matching the location on the back of the top unused technology tile. Discard this tile, but leave the others nearby for later. In a solo and 2-player game, you need to grab a 3rd color for the NPC player. They're just there to tighten up the board and create more interaction. Place their 2 workers into the locations clockwise adjacent to the neutral developments. Keep their 2 expert workers and 6 developments off to the side for now. Everything in Galactic Cruise starts out randomized. The 12 different action locations have been randomly placed into these 6 worker placement spots. This area of the board is known as the network. I've randomized the technologies, the agendas, the company goals, blueprints, the cockpit and engine pairs, and the cruises. I'll go over the rules for all of these things as I play, like I always do. So let's just jump on in and get started. For the last bit of setup, Rachel needs to place a starting development. She's always going to place her developments going left to right, top to bottom. And where she places it is going to depend on the number system, those numbers at the bottom of her action cards. Right now it's showing a 5/2. Now, most of the time, we're just going to look at that first number. We only look at that second number if the first number could never work. Like, for example, if they were trying to pick one of these 4 agendas, well, the 5 will never work there, so then we'd go to the second number. Here, we're going to place this development in the 5th spot in the network. And we always start at like 12 o'clock and then circle around clockwise. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She always wants to place a development in a spot where there isn't one if she can, so she's going to move on to the next one and place it there. And you're always going to place it in the first spot if you can, because when you play in that first spot, you get a reputation. And now I have to do the same thing, and I can select any in this first column. Here, these are our 3 main resources. So we have food, oxygen, and fuel. We also have money here. We start with 10, and then we have ads, which we start with 2. I think I'm going to take my oxygen one here. By removing these developments, we can actually store more of these different resources. So that's one of the reasons we want to remove these. I'm going to place mine right here and get a reputation. That development is actually connecting these 2 worker placement spots for me. So now if I were to place a worker here, for instance, I would have the option of taking either of these 2 actions or those 2 actions over there, because my development marker is connecting them. Now later in the game, we can also place our development markers up here below those 4 different technologies in order to obtain those. But we can't do that here at the beginning of the game. Now the last thing I have to do is I get to grab one of these blueprints. I'm going to take Shopping Hub, and we just place them here. Later, we can take actions to convert these blueprints into actual segments of our ship that we're building. I'll show you that soon enough. And now everything just slides down and refills. And there we go. We're all set up, finally. We begin as the first player. Our overall goal is to create these cruise ships with different segments and features, and then advertise to passengers to come onto our ship, plan out cruises, collect the food, oxygen, and fuel that we need to go on to the trip, and then to launch our spacecraft into space. That's how we're going to get the majority of our victory points. Each turn consists of 3 different phases, and the first phase we're going to be able to skip for a while because that only happens when you have one of these ships in space, when you've launched something into space. Then we'll have sort of a ship advancing phase, but until that happens, we can ignore that and jump straight to the second phase, which is where we get to take an action. Now there's 3 different types of actions we could take. The first one is we can assign a worker to one of these worker placement locations in the network. The worker has to come from our break room, and once we place the worker out, we can then take 2 actions that are available to us. The other thing we can do is we can call a meeting, which means we're going to bring our workers back to the break room that are out in the network, and then we'll get to take 1 action that is adjacent to one of our developments. The third thing we can do is we can take a worker and launch a ship. In that case, we just sort of put it right here, and we go through this launch sequence. Now, in order to do that, we need our ship to be in a certain state. For example, we need to have at least 2 or a maximum of 3 segments. We need to have all of the, resources that we need. We need passengers and a flight plan, things like that. So right now, obviously, I'm going to assign a worker. At the beginning of the game, we have these 2 workers. Later, we can hire these expert workers. I'll talk about them later. But for right now, let's just take one of our workers, and I want to place them right here. Now, this is not the kind of worker placement game where the other workers are blocking you. No, instead, I could go to where another worker is, and I would just bump them out of that spot. When I bump an NPC player, they just go to a different spot. They kind of just go to the next spot. I'll explain that when it happens. And if we bump Rachel's workers, they're going to go back to her break room. The only restriction is I can't bump my own worker. I'm only blocking myself from going to locations. But for right now, I'm not going to bump anybody. And now I get to take 2 actions of my choice. They can be 2 different actions or 2 of the same actions. And the choices I have are either of these 2 actions that are at my location. And as I said before, because I have a development here, I can also select from those 2 actions. So I really have 4 actions to choose from. The cool thing is you can use other players' developments as well. You just have to pay them for it. So we could use these neutral developments. If, for instance, I had gone here, I could use that neutral development to take one of those actions, but I would have to pay. And the amount that I have to pay is based on my reputation. If you look at this track here, it shows that anything from 0 to 6 reputation, you have to pay $2 to any other player that has a development there. If you have your own development, you can ignore that. You can just use your own for free. But if you don't and you're using other players, you have to pay all the other players that have developments there. But if you get your reputation up to 7 to 14, then you only have to pay 1. And if your reputation is 15 or more, then you don't have to pay at all. Using other players' developments also includes using those technologies as well. So you can also pay to use their technology developments. Now, I'm going to explain all these 12 actions as I use them. I don't want to just dump all that information right here in the front. For my first action, I'm going to do this one. That just lets me take 2 agenda cards. I'll take those 2 and add it to the one that I get to start with. And these do not refill. Refilling these agenda cards is actually its own separate action right here. Also keep in mind that if there were some discarded agenda cards in that discard pile there, then you could spend a reputation in order to take one of those as well. But you can't take from the top of the agenda deck. For my second action, I'm going to take 2 more agenda cards. Again, you can repeat the same action. I am now at my agenda card limit of 5. But there we go. Those were my 2 actions. Now for the third phase of my turn, we check the company goals to see if I've completed one of them. And if I had, then I could resolve it. The company goals for this game are to have 3 workers, which basically means my 2 workers plus 1 of the expert workers. Our second goal is to have 13 points worth of segments or sections on our ships. You can see the shopping hub is worth 3 points at the end of the game. So we would need 13 of those in total across all of our ships. And keep in mind, the maximum number of ships you can have is 3, and the maximum size of each of those ships is also 3. That's sort of denoted right here. Now there is a way of increasing that, which I'll talk about later. And then our third company goal here is to have launched 2 different ships. We're going to be trying to accomplish these as quickly as possible. Now Rachel has her own 3 different goals. She's not worried about these. But if she completes one of her goals first, that will actually raise the difficulty of these goals. So there is a bit of a race there of trying to get these goals done. Obviously, I haven't completed any of these yet, so we skip that, and that's the end of my turn. We now go to Rachel. Her turns work very similar to ours. If she had a ship in space, then it would advance, that phase 1. But again, we're going to skip that for now. Phase 2, if she has workers in her break room, and we have this little card here that's her break room that gives us some extra information. So you can see, just like us, she has her 2 regular workers. So if she has a worker there, then she's going to flip that action deck card and do what it says. Okay, now on the back of the deck, it shows where this worker is going to go. And so right here, they're just going to place their worker right there. Just like us, if there had been a worker there, they would have bumped it out. And now they're going to take the top action if they can. She doesn't have to be connected to that action out here on the board. That doesn't really matter. This top action lets you take 3 resources from the silo. This is one of the main ways that you can get resources. Well, to determine which 3 resources she would take, we would usually look at the cards in the agenda. But we've hit a bit of an edge case right away. We have no cards in the agenda, nor do we have cards in the discard pile. So in that rare occurrence, she just won't take this action. And that's why there's 2 actions on the card. If she can't take the first one, we go to the second one and she'll do that one. The second action is how we refill the silo. Normally you would have to discard one of your agenda cards, and then you could refill one of the 3 resources all the way to its max. And by doing that, you would get some money and a reputation. She's going to refill the resource that was the first that she couldn't take all of over here. I'm going to say that that's food. And so we're going to move that all the way up, and she's going to get a reputation. That was a little confusing because of the edge case, but we got through it. Now, we're playing on medium difficulty. There's a lot of different ways to adjust the difficulty of Rachel and the solo game. And the rules for what she does and doesn't do in different situations changes depending on what difficulty level you're playing at. On medium difficulty, she's going to look at the first action she just took. So in this case, it's right here, right? She skipped that one. She took this action. If the worker she just placed is either at that location or is adjacent with a development, it could be her own development or it could be somebody else's, then she's going to take another action. She'll take a second action. In this case, it's adjacent, but there's no development here, so she won't take a second action. We then go to phase 3. We check to see if she's completed one of her personal goals. Let me quickly explain what those are. First, it's to have built a certain number of developments, and we flip it over here to show that on medium difficulty, it's 6. And so we can actually place this on the 6th development, so just to remind us. The next one is to have built a certain number of these segments. For medium difficulty, it's 6. And then this one is just to have launched a certain number of different ships. And for medium, it's 2. And the last thing I should mention real quick is that Rachel never takes money or advertising. The only thing she cares about is the reputation track and victory points. So for instance here, she ignored taking money. She just took her reputation. And that's going to be true throughout the game. There we go. That's her turn done. It comes back to us, and we just keep going back and forth throughout the game. For my next turn, I'm going to take my worker and place them right here. I'm bumping out that NPC worker, and what they do is they just go to the next clockwise spot. And in this case, they're bumping me out. Whoa, 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 whoa. This is a mistake. You cannot use the NPC player to knock out your own worker. So in this case, the NPC worker would skip over my location, go to the next location, and knock out Rachel's worker instead. So my guy comes back to my break room. And when someone comes back to your break room, you can see this little handprint right there, that little open hand. That means we get to take a funding bonus. And the funding bonuses are these 4 right here. We can choose between getting 1 money, 1 ad, 1 victory point, or 1 resource of any of the 3 types. I'm going to take food. And now I actually have 6 different actions that I could choose from, because if I wanted to, I could use that neutral, but it would cost me 2 money. That money would just go to the bank. I think I want to avoid that. Instead, I'm going to take this action here, which is going to let me refill the agenda cards. The reason I want to do that is because I get each of these bonuses from each of the empty spaces. So I'm going to get a reputation, an ad, a money, and a resource. And in fact, I'm going to get even more because I'm going to play my agenda card, Windfall. It shows here the action that you need to be taking in order to play the card. And it says that I gain each agenda refill bonus twice. So I'm actually getting double of each of those. Amazing. So let's see here. 2 reputation, 2 ads, 2 money, and 2 resources of my choice. Let's go a little oxygen and a little fuel. My Windfill card gets discarded, and then if there were any other cards there, those would also get discarded, and then we just refill all 4 spots. Now I think I want to take this action right there, which is how we build our developments. I want to build this development. And if you look down here, it shows the cost. It's 5 of any combination of either that resource, so in this case, food, and money. So I'm actually going to spend 1, 2 food, and then the rest in money, so 3 money. That'll cover the 5 cost, and now I can place this wherever I want. I could place it in the network, or I could place it under one of those technologies. And I'm not going to lie, I'm tempted by the technologies, I really am. But for now, I think I'm going to go right here and grab that rep. I'm done. Rachel's go. She has a worker. We can see where it's going. She's kicking me out. So once again, I get to take a funding bonus. And let's get one of those food. Yeah. So this top action, she's not going to be able to do. This is for getting one of her expert workers. And that first 7 there means that she's only going to do it if the cost of getting her first expert worker is less than 7. Well, in order to get this expert worker, you have to pay 3 money times how many of these bonus tiles you have down here. So right now she has all 4 of them. Later in the game, these will kind of go away. So right now, the cost is 12 to get that expert worker. The right expert worker, that costs 2 times the number of developments that you have left in your food and oxygen areas. So right now she has 5 of those. Times 2, that's 10 money. So she's not going to take this action until one of those workers is down to cost 7 or less. The 4 would then be for the second worker. Like it would need to be that cheap to get the second expert worker out. So she's going to skip that. She's going to go to her second action. That's going to be to build a technology, and it's going to be in the network. So she takes her next technology. Again, she's going top to bottom, left to right. And normally we would just look at the number to see where she wants to go, but she also has a preference for getting that reputation. So in this case, she's only going to go here. That also happens to be the third spot, so she's going to go there and get her reputation. So we look, and she placed her worker where that action is in that location. So that means she's going to get to take a second action. You just flip a card. And here she wants to build 2 sections of her ship. She never reserves blueprints the way that we do. Like, we sort of bring them over here and then we'll build them from here. We also can build directly from there. You'll see that here in a second. But she always just builds directly from the blueprints. And we're going to look at her number there. Her number is 2. So she's going to take and build that second blueprint from the top. And then the second one will just be the one underneath. She doesn't have to pay for them, and she doesn't lose reputation or anything like that. We then just refill. And she is done. I keep getting bumped out, so I have plenty of workers. Let's go here. I'm going to use this action to schedule a cruise. I want to schedule that first cruise. So I just move my little bust figure right there next to it. I now must take one of these 8 different tokens here, gain the benefit, and then flip it over. I'm going to do this one right here, which is going to let me put out a technology at 4 less cost. I'm going to do my oxygen. Now that would normally cost 6 minus 4, so it's just going to cost me 2. I'll flip that over. And now I can place this out. Go right there and get a reputation. Now that technology is going to let me spend 1 less food when I launch my ship. Now that's a nice quick little cruise. It's not a very long one. It doesn't take much fuel. You'll see how the cruises work once I actually launch this ship. For my second action, I'm actually going to use my development and come over here and get my first expert worker. I'm going to get this one here. Again, the cost is 2 money for every remaining development in our food and oxygen. So 1, 2, 3 is going to cost me 6 money. I then get to take them and place them here in my break room. And I'm going to get a funding bonus. But I'm actually going to get 2 funding bonuses because of this tile right there. Another thing we randomize at the beginning of the game, each expert worker has a special ability. And for this game, our expert workers, when they come into our break room, they get +1 funding bonus. And since I'm low on money, I think I'll just take $2. All right, Rachel's turn, and she is out of workers. So rather than place a worker out, she needs to call a meeting, which is going to bring all of her workers off the board. Back into her break room, and each one's going to get a funding bonus, but she always takes the same funding bonus. She just wants the points. So in this case, they're each going to give her 1 point. That's 2 points. And that's it. That's her whole turn. Back to us. And we now have more workers. We keep having workers out, so we don't have to call meetings. I'm going to take my expert worker out and put him right here. First thing I want to do is this. Oh, and I'm just realizing I made a mistake. We're going to go back a second here. What I meant to do when I played this worker out was to play my early bird. So this early bird is when placing your worker, if it is your only worker on the board, gain 4 money. So I meant to play that when I played that. Sorry, that's just a little retcon, but it doesn't change anything, and I was planning on doing that. Filming and playing game is hard. Okay, we're now going to go there. Now I'm going to take this action, and I'm going to remember to play my card. Commissions and fees. we're going to gain an extra money per movement up and an additional reputation. So I'm going to move this one up. 1, 2, 3 times 2. That's going to be 6 more money. And normally we get 1 reputation, but that's going to give me an extra 1. 1, 2. And now I am up to 7 reputation. So now it's only going to cost me 1 money to use other players' developments, which is great. Now, to take this action, I actually had to discard one of these agendas. I'm going to discard this one. Okay, perfect. Now for my second action, I'm going to do this action here, which is advertising. It's officially advertising for a cruise. You can advertise for any cruise that you want. I'm actually going to advertise not for my cruise, but for a different cruise. So we look here, we have these potential customers in a queue. The ones at the bottom only need 1 advertising token to advertise to them. And then the middle takes 2, the top takes 3, and then if you want to advertise from 1 in the supply, that would take 4. I'm going to advertise to those 2, and I'm going to advertise on that cruise. So that's going to cost 2 of my advertising tokens. And then for each of those customers, I'm going to get a money for each destination icon on that cruise. And there are 2 destination icons. There's the purple one and the blue one. That first one is just empty space. That's not a destination. So for each of those workers, I'm getting 2 money. So that's going to be 4 altogether. And then if at least one of the destinations on that cruise match, what the customer wants. So we have 2 blue, which represents family customers. And we do have a family destination on that cruise. So we're going to get 2 reputation, 1 reputation for each. So we've launched ahead all the way to 9 reputation. And I've forgotten something else. When I got this expert worker, I actually completed a company goal. That's the 3rd phase. So I'm going to do it right now. Right here, we have 3 workers. So when that happens, you actually take your marker that corresponds to that company goal, and you just place it in the leftmost spot here in this area of the board, which is known as the progress track. This is actually the timer for the game. Once we fill up these 3 spots with cubes, and we put cubes in there anytime we launch one of our ships or we complete a company goal, or if Rachel completes one of her goals. So once we fill that up, we'll have sort of a meeting, like an official meeting. We'll have some scoring. Then we'll move to the second era. Once we fill up those 4 cubes, we'll go to the last era. And then once we fill up the top, that'll be the end of the game. There we go. All done. Rachel's turn. She has a worker. Now that top action is saying that if she has a ship that has 3 segments in it, and right now her ship only has 2. We don't count the cockpit or the engine. So if she had a ship that had 3, then she would launch it. But she doesn't. She only has one with 2. So instead, she's going to build more parts. She's coming over here, knocking me out. So I'll get a funding, and we're kind of low on ads. So let's get another ad. She's going to build 2 more parts. We've seen this before. We look at her number there, 6. That's never going to work because there's only 5 blueprints. So we'll go to the second number, 3. Going to build this one. Now, Rachel has the same restrictions that we do. Her ships can only be at max 3 segments long. So when she takes this segment and she doesn't have a ship for it, she just grabs a ship. In this case, we're going to look at the number system again. 6 doesn't work, but 3 does. So she'll take the 3rd pair. If this engine had provided her with victory points or reputation, she would take it, but there isn't any there, so she'll just flip that over. Now we check, and she is connected via that neutral development to the action. So, she doesn't have money, but, in theory, she would pay. If it was us, she would pay us too, just from the bank, and she'll get to take a second action. Okay, her expert workers are still too expensive, so she's going to put out another development. And this time it's going to go onto one of the technologies. That's what that top symbol means. And again, she favors placing it on something that will give her a reputation. So 6 doesn't work. 1 is already taken, so she's just going to move along. Get that one. Get a reputation. Okay, back to us. I think I want to go there. We're just going to bump them along. And I'm going to start by building some segments. Now, when we build segments on our ship, we can either build from, the ones that are right here, that we've, used this action to get more of them. We started with this one, but we could take that action to get 2 more and place them here. We can hold up to 5. So we could build these. The cost is shown right here. So this one would cost 3 money. It would be worth 3 victory points at the end of the game. This would be our shopping hub, and we could put it in. Alternatively, we can build straight from the blueprint row, but there's an extra cost associated with it. So we'd have to spend the basic cost. So if we wanted to buy that wine tasting segment, it would cost 5 money. But additionally, if you look on the right-hand side, it would also cost an extra money, and we'd have to lose a reputation. Before I build anything, I'm going to do something that you can do, as shown there at the top, where you can spend a reputation in order to discard as many of those tiles as you want and refill them. So let's spend a reputation. I'm going to get rid of all of those and refill. Didn't quite get what I wanted, but I think that's fine. I'm going to start by building that wine tasting. It's going to cost 5 plus 1, so 6, and a reputation. And then I'm going to do the tanning deck, so that's going to be 3. And a reputation. Now that it has 2 segments in it, this is a space-worthy ship. We can launch this whenever we want. If we want to, we can add a 3rd segment, but we'll see. Now for my second action, I think I'm just going to take that top one in order to spend 1 money in order to get 2 resources. I'm going to get a food. No, I'm not going to get a food. I'm going to get 2 oxygen. And then I'll spend another money in order to get 2 ads. Okay, that was me. They have another worker. They're bumping me out again. I am never going to have to call a meeting at this rate. Running low on money, but I think I'll go ahead and take the extra food. And now they want to advertise to some of the customers there. So first they're going to pick one of the cruises, and we're going to use the number system. So number 1. Now the problem is I've already reserved that cruise, and they're not going to advertise to a cruise that I've already reserved. So they're going to just move on to the next one. Now, she's going to pick customers that match the destinations on that cruise. So in that one, we have sort of the blue and the orange. And she wants to advertise lowest in the queue to highest in the queue. So she can't get anyone from the first queue. She's going to go to the second queue. She has 1 customer there. Then she would pick an orange if there was an orange there, but there isn't. So she's going to loop back around and do another blue. Sort of more teal, I guess. She then just gets 2 reputation. Okay, and now we would check for a second action, but she's not connected, so that's it. Our turn, and I know I want to come over here. I'm going to get a second ship. I can pick from any of these. I'll grab this one down here. That engine's just going to give me 3 money right away. Then flip it. I think for my second action, I'm going to spend 2 money to use the neutral development. And I want to grab 2 cards. No, you know what? I'm going to build. I'm going to build this development. That's going to cost 5. Put it right there. Boom. Done. That's good. Okay, out of workers. So she's calling a meeting. And 2 points. And I think it's finally time to launch. I'm going to use my last worker. And when you launch, you just put them right here. And now we get to go through the launch sequence. It's all laid out on your board. First thing you do is you take the scheduled cruise. So we've scheduled that one, and you place it on top of the ship that's going to go on that cruise. And now if there were any, customers there that had been advertised to previously, then they would just come onto your ship. There aren't any there, so at this point, we can now advertise to them. And so I'm going to spend 1 advertisement to get that purple at the bottom. And if you look on the ship here, when you have these 2 segments together, it creates a little cabin for the passenger to go into. If you had 3 segments, then there would be a second place for the passenger, so you could fit 2 in. But because I only have 2 segments, I can only put 1 passenger in. We now move up, and that's showing us that we take one of our cubes and we place it onto the progress track. We then move up again. Now we have to pay our resources. We have to spend 1 food for every passenger, plus an additional 1 for the pilot. So in our case, we're going to need to spend 2 food, which we have. We then have to spend an oxygen for every segment. That's 2 oxygen. Again, you don't count the cockpit or the engines. And then we have to spend fuel based on the cost up there. And now I'm already forgetting something. I have a technology that says I can do 1 fewer food. So I only need to spend 1 food. And there's a technology right there that Rachel has that would let us spend 1 fewer fuel. And I think I do want to use that technology. So I'm going to spend 1 because my reputation is now at 7 in order to use that technology. So I only need to spend 1 fuel rather than the 2 that shows right there. Because this is such a short flight, it requires way less fuel. You can see a lot of those other cruises require a lot more fuel. Now, instead of spending resources from here, you have a couple of other options. One is that you can spend any agendas that you have, discard them for the resource that's shown on the bottom. So instead of spending that fuel, I could have discarded this card for that fuel. So every one of the agendas is sort of dual use in that way. The other thing that you can do, and this is something that you can do once on your turn, any turn, is you can reduce your reputation in order to take 1 type of item that is below. So at this moment that I needed to spend the fuel or whatever, I could have moved past that marker in order to get that fuel. Or for the 2 oxygen, I could have gone past there, and then I could have gone all the way down here to get the 2 oxygen that I needed. You can do this to gain money or ads for paying, for ads. Okay, we've paid all our resources. We can come up here, and now we get victory points based on what our cockpit says. For our starting cockpit here, we're going to get 1 point for every segment of all of our ships. Right now, that's just 2, so we're only getting 2 points. And we're on the board, our first 2 points of the game. We now move up here, and this marker that we flipped over a while ago when we scheduled our cruise, we now take that marker and we place it in there. That'll come in handy here in the future. And then we just take this worker and put him into our ship. But first, we have to flip over our cockpit. This is how we show that we have now used the ship for a flight. That's important because if you build a ship and you never send it out into space, you're going to lose 5 points at the end of the game. But we now place our pilot in here. And now that worker is going to be on this ship, on this cruise, until it gets back to Earth. So we're not going to have that worker to, use to take actions until this cruise is over. Now, luckily, this is a quick cruise, so we won't be losing them for too long. And there you go. That's how you launch a ship into space. This means that now at the beginning of my turns, we're going to have to do that first phase that we've been skipping each round. We're now going to have to pay attention to that because there's going to be stuff we need to do. But that was my turn. Now over to Rachel. Ooh, here we go. That's saying that if she has a ship that has at least 2 segments, then she's going to launch just like we did. And so her worker isn't going out on the board. It's coming over here, and she's going to launch her ship. So we're going to look at her number, and that's going to be... Oh, I forgot. So, okay, so before we do anything, we need to add a new cruise because I took one of the cruises. For each of the destinations that's on that new tile, we're going to move down any of the customers that match those destinations. So in this case, everyone's moving down by 1. We're then going to add new customers to the queue, starting at the top, and we're going to add as many customers as are on my ship that are on the cruise that I just launched. In this case, it's just 1. And then we're going to look at the cruise that we just added and the leftmost destination, which is purple, and we're going to add that type of customer. It's easy to forget to refill the cruises. Okay, so now Rachel's going to pick one. We look at her number 2. She's taking that one. This is the only ship she can take off in. We have 2 workers there already, so she's just going to take those 2 workers. Keep calling them workers, customers. Okay, we move up here. She's going to place out one of her cubes. And that's going to fill the first progress track. So we're going to have to deal with that after her turn. Now this is where you would pay for resources. Now she pays for resources slightly differently. She's going to look at her fuel track and look at the last number that you can see there. That's 3. Well, she needs 4 fuel for this cruise, and she only has 3 capacity. So she's going to actually spend reputation. She has to go all the way down to 5 in order to get that extra fuel. And if she needed, 2 extra fuel or something, she would go all the way past that one. The other resources she doesn't have to worry about. It's just fuel. Now she's going to score her cockpit, but she does it a little bit differently. She's going to score the number that's on the cockpit and the victory point value of all the other segments. So that's 1, 2, 5, 8. She's just going to flip one of these bonuses, and she's not going to get the reward. And she's going to flip these bottom 4 until she has this expert. When she purchases this expert, she'll flip these ones up here. In particular, she'll flip this victory point one. But for now, she's just going to flip these in any order. It doesn't matter. And put it on her ship. We also want to flip this up. And boom. That's going to be her only action. And now that we've filled up the progress track, we have to have a meeting, they say. This is like a special meeting of the board of directors. So the way it works is we get victory points, and the way we calculate those victory points is by adding up our little symbols here. So we have 1, 2 for us because we have uncovered an extra one because we've done one of the company goals. So that's 2, and then we multiply it by the number of cubes that we have in this progress area. So we have 2 cubes, but who's ever in the lead on reputation, it's as if you have an extra cube. So we have 2 cubes, plus we have the lead on the reputation. That's 3 times 2. We're going to get 6 points. Rachel only has 1 times 1, getting 1 point. And now as it shows down here, we have to do a little something with the NPC. They're going to have 3 of their gears come out, 3 of their developments. And the way we tell which one is by shuffling up the leftover technologies, and then we're just going to place them out as it shows. And then discard. The other thing we need to do is to replace one of their workers with an expert worker. And we're just going to replace the one that's closest to 12 o'clock going clockwise. So that'll be this one. Now, when you bump one of the experts, they behave a little bit differently. Rather than just going to the next spot, they're actually going to go to the next player to bump out. They're going to skip over any empty spaces, and they're going to skip over themselves. They're not going to bump themselves. And so there's just going to be a lot more bumping happening. Phew, okay, we're all done with that. We're on to sort of progress level 2, and it's back to us. And now we have to deal with that phase 1 because we have a ship here in space. So what you do is you move your pilot to the next location on that tile. And in this case, it's a destination. It's a purple destination, which is like a relaxation destination. Now, the first thing we can do is we can take our cargo here and we can place it in one of these locations in the purple destination. And I want to do that. I want to place it right here. That's going to give us a really cool special ability here where all of our workers are going to be treated as if they're expert workers, which means they're all going to get this double funding bonus. That's going to be really cool. In fact, it's going to be really cool right away. Now what we get to do is we get to score. So for each of our passengers here, we can spend ads in order to score points. And if the passenger matches the location, the destination, and in this case they do, we have a purple passenger and we have a purple location or destination, we just spend 1. If it was one of the other 2 colors, we'd have to spend 2 ads. We just spend 1 ad, and now we're going to score 3 points and then +1 here because of this cargo. So we're gaining 4 points for that passenger. So now I want to use one of my technologies, which is the flight target indicator. And that says when advancing your cruise, you can spend 2 fuel in order to go to 1 additional location, 1 additional site. And then you'll gain the benefits from both stops. And that's what I want to do. So I'm going to spend 1 fuel like that and then spend this card for that second fuel. And that's going to let us advance to the next space. And that next space is what we call a day in space. So we aren't actually at a destination, we're at a day in space. The way this works is we look at our passenger and then we look at the different amenities that we have in our ship. Because we're in space, they're going to be enjoying the amenities that are on our ship. And we have 2 matching amenities, right? We got a purple here and we got a purple here, our wine tasting and our tanning deck. So for each of those, we're going to look up there in the top right of the board and we're going to get some sort of bonus. For the case of the purple, that's going to be 1 reputation for each one of our amenities. And because we have 2, that's going to be 2 reputation. And now I actually want to spend 1 money in order to take advantage of that technology that the neutral player has, that self-piloting system. It says that during a day in space, your pilot may act as 1 additional passenger of any color. Let's have them also be purple so we can get 2 more reputation. Okay, there we go. That was phase 1. That was us advancing on our cruise. We now get to take our actual action, and in this case, we have finally run out of workers in our break room, so we have to call a meeting. We're going to get our 2 workers back. We don't get this guy back because he's piloting the ship. But remember our special ability. Now, this guy also counts as an expert. So because they came back to the break room, we're actually getting 4 funding bonuses. If I wanted, I could take 4 points. But I think I'm out of money, and so I think I'm just going to take 4 money. And now I get to take an action that is adjacent to one of my developments. I think I'm going to take this action and schedule another cruise. Once again, I forgot to get a new cruise. Okay, there's no blue to move down, but we need 2 new blues. Does that change anything? Yeah, I'm going to schedule that one. There's already customers there waiting. I have to flip one of these. Let's go ahead and flip this 4 money one. And that was me calling a meeting. Now to Rachel. Okay, coming here, bumping. All right, going to get 2 agendas, starting with the 4th one, and then we'll just wrap around and take the next one. She just discards them. She doesn't actually keep them. And look at that. She's connected by my development, so she will pay, and she's going to pay me $2. But that means she'll get to take an extra action. And she still can't get her experts because this one costs 9, that one costs 8, and they would have to cost 7 or less. So she's going to move on and do another technology, or rather a development here in the network. Space 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and of course, sorry, forgot. The first thing she should have done is move her pilot to the first location here on her cruise. Just like us, she's on a cruise, and she's in open space. So for a day in space, she merely just gets 2 reputation for each guest. She has 2 guests. 1, 2. So that means she actually would have only paid me 1 money for using my development. That's a shame. Now it comes back to me, and look at this. Our cruise is done. The next space is back onto the cockpit, so they come back into our break room. Once again, we're going to get double rewards. This time I might actually take 2 ads. And then we can just remove this and remove our customer. And now if we want, this ship is ready to fly again. Like, unfortunately, I don't quite have the fuel that I need, but I could launch this ship right back out there if I wanted to. But that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is come up here, and I want to build onto my second ship. So first things first, let's spend a reputation to clear this board. I really don't like anything that's out there right now, so I'm going to clear everything off. Okay, now we're talking. I'm building this. That's going to be another reputation lost. This robot arena is going to cost 5 plus 1, so it's going to cost 6. Then I'm also going to build my blueprint that I have waiting here. That'll just cost 3. So that's all of my money. And the unfortunate thing about that is it means that I can't really take any actions right now. Yeah, I really can't take a second action because I have no money. I could move my reputation way down here to get a buck, but we're not going to do that. So there we go. We're done. Rachel is going here, and there we go. We've reached a destination. It's a blue destination, and when she gets there, she's going to drop off this payload. She'll just put it in the leftmost spot in the appropriate destination. She doesn't take advantage of the special abilities or anything like that. And then she's going to score all of her guests. So they're each going to be worth 4, so that's going to be 8 points. We are getting left in the dust. She's now out of workers, so going to call a meeting. That'll be worth 1 point. Now it's back to us, and we are out of money. And that is a problem. We desperately need money, and there is a way that we can get some money. And I think it's the only way that we can get enough money. Thinking about whether I want to come here. I think I want to come here. Right? No, I think I want to go here. Yeah, I want to go here. Bump them there. And I'm going to advertise to some guests. So we'll advertise to the bottom one and then one of the middle ones. So that's going to be 3 advertisements. And the great thing there is there are 3 destinations on that cruise. And so each of those guests is going to give me 3 money. So that's going to be 6 altogether. And then I'm also going to get 2 victory points. And now that I'm here, I could spend 1 in order to bring a couple of blueprints in. So I have to pay 1. We're going to get Pizza World and this 5D cinema. They're going to move into empty space. So that's just 2 reputation. Ooh, okay. Bumping me out. Let's see here. Yeah, 2 extra money would be helpful. So we're going to look at the number. It's number 1. So she's going to come in. There's no card there. She's going to look at these agenda cards. She'll go to the second one. So that means she's going to take a food. Then she'll go to the next card. Going to take an oxygen. Then she'll wrap back around to that second card, take another food. And she is connected there, so she'll get a second action. All right, and is just going to take 2 agenda cards. Now, I think I need to go here to get some resources. I need a lot of fuel. I mean, I'm going to need 3 fuel. I could just take it all in fuel. Yeah, okay. I'll take 3 fuel. And now I could pay 1 in order to build. But I would not get to build both of these. I could only build 1 of them, which would probably be okay. Yeah, that'll be okay. It's a little inefficient, but that's just how the cookie crumbled here. So let's spend 1 to use her development. And we're going to build Pizza World for 2. And that's going to do something a little exciting. Because now we have 5, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 value in our spacecraft, so we have now completed this company goal. So that means we get to place this right there. And now all we need to do is launch this ship and we can get the third company goal all set. But Rachel could ruin that right now. But here, we're going to go over there. Going to get another 8 points. And oh, luckily, we don't have to worry because out of workers has to bring them back. And that's going to be 1 point. Having few workers here has helped us, but she is scoring a lot of points. Now, I think we might have to spend a lot of... Here, let me actually calculate this before I just go head on in. We're going to be short an oxygen and a food. And we can pay 1 for the fuel. So we're just going to be short 2. So, yeah, we're going to have to come all the way down here to 7. But I think that's just the price we have to pay. I don't want to wait around any longer. So let's launch. We're launching this lovely cruise. We have 2 spaces for our 2 passengers. We get to put a cube out. So we have to pay 1 less food, but we have 3 mouths to feed. So that's going to be 1, 2 food. We have 3 of those, so we need 3 oxygen. 1, 2, 3. And then we need 4 fuel. 1, 2, 3. And then I'll pay 1 to use that technology. So that'll be the 4th. Now we're getting 2 points for every 3 of our reputation, which just took a massive hit. So we're only getting 4 points for that. I get to flip that. Put that in there. And boom. Now we've officially launched our second rocket, so we get to do this cube as well. Lovely stuff. And here we go. So we ran out of the deck, so all you do is you flip the deck over without shuffling it. Ooh, kicking us out. And I think I want 2 advertisements. And wanted to take 2 agendas, but there are none, so she's going to refill them instead. Because the reputation one is visible, she'll get 1 reputation for doing this. Oh, and I forgot. Her person comes home, and that's going to give her a point. And look at this. She is connected here, so she'll get a second action. We're now going to reshuffle this deck. And we're going to do it with that card included. Okay, and it's going to take some more resources. It's going to be, let's see here, 3. So starting with food, then oxygen, and then gas. Okay, and of course, I'm always doing this. I'm forgetting to refill. And now we go off here. We are in space. And this is going to be We have 3 of these family icons. So this is like 6, and all of those are going to be ads. So we're getting 6 ads. All right, so we're swimming in ads now. And I have this guy. What do I want to do with him? Might be good to get another flight going. We're low on money. I think I'm just going to go here. And I'm going to use my development. I'm just going to get all 4 of these. There we go. Both of my actions, I'm done. Ooh, okay, still can't get them. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Okay, can get their expert. 246, so that's under 7. On medium difficulty, their expert worker gets an additional funding bonus, just like ours. So they're actually going to get 2 points for that. And I forgot to put them down. And, ooh, I'm getting kicked out. Let's get 2 money. And they are not connected to that action, so they are done. I feel like I want to go here. Oh, and I'm forgetting my space here. So first of all, boom, we go over here. Now this is a relaxation purple destination. So as you can see here, it's going to cost 2 for each one of these family guests in order to get the 4 points. So I'm going to spend 4, or here, I'll spend it like this. And that'll give me 8 points. I'm going to spend these 2 cards for the 2 fuel. And I'm then going to use my technology there where I can spend 2 fuel in order to advance 1 more space. We're now at the teal sort of family destination. And I'm going to place this right here. This special ability is going to let me, anytime I advance on this reputation track, I'm going to get whatever it is I pass over. That seems pretty cool. I was tempted to go to this one, which allows you to bump yourself out. But no, I think this is going to be better. And now I only need to spend 2 advertisements in order to get another 8 points. Okay, we're getting a little closer now. Very good. And now for my turn, I'm going here. I think the first thing I want to do is to take this action. I'll get rid of this card. I hate to lose the board game cruise, but I'm going to move this all the way to the top. That's going to give me $5 and a reputation. And I crossed over that, so I can now, boom. For my second action, I could do that again and get 4 more bucks. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to schedule one of these cruises. We're going to come down there. We're going to schedule a nice short cruise. Or should we go for the Gusto? Oh, fine. Let's go for the Gusto. Bam. We'll schedule that one. Now, when we schedule, we get to use one of these. I think I'll flip this one over and get 4 goods. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or let's go like that. Bumping me out again. I guess I'll take 2 goods. Like that. And then, okay, she's going to be refilling the agendas and getting a reputation. And then oh no, she's not connected. not connected. So that's it. Now, what do I want to do? I really want to build. I need to build that. So, yeah, I need to bump. There's really no way of avoiding it. She's going to get 2 victory points for that. But now I can build this for 5. And of course, I forgot. They're coming home. That also means I can take 2 more goods. And then I guess I don't really need goods anymore. The question is, do I want to build another rocket? I'm not sure if I do. I might just be happy with the rockets I have. Actually, you know what? No. I do want another rocket. So I will spend 1 to come over here. I think I'll take this one. That's going to let me take one of these agendas and a money. Yep, I'm going to take Marketing Blitz. Really wants those agendas. Coming here, cannot bump yourself out with the NPC, or can you? Oh, I think I've been playing this wrong where the NPC can bump your own character out, and you can't do that. So for fairness sake, I'll keep playing that way, where that's allowed. But yeah, strictly speaking, you're not allowed to bump yourself out using the NPC character. They would just skip over and then bump your opponent. But I'll keep playing this way just for fairness. That'll be 2 points. Oh no, just 1 point. Just 1 point. And then she's taking 4 and then 1 like that. And then, ooh, she can pay me 1 in order to take another action. Okay, she definitely can't get this one. This is going out there. So she almost has that one. She's really close to like multiple of her goals. Okay, my turn now, and I think I'm going to launch. We got these 2. And boom, look at that. Okay, I need 3 food. Oh no, I only need 2 food because of my technology. I'm gonna need 3 oxygen. And I need 5 fuel. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And do I want to spend the Marketing Blitz? No, I think I'm going to lose more reputation. All right, so we covered that. Now we're going to get points. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It goes on there, and we go on to there. And there we are. Now we're at the end here. We have to do another one of these board meetings. And I'm going to be scoring a ton of points here. I've got 4 of these showing, and I got 4 cubes there. So that's going to be 16 points. Actually, instead of doing this, I've just noticed something. Instead of doing that, I'm going to pay 1 in order to use that technology. That just makes way more sense. Okay, there we go. Ooh, and she is launching. Taking that third one. She's going to take that guest. And then that guest. Places out a cube. She has plenty of fuel. Ooh, she's going to score 1, 2, 5, 8. Okay, there we go. Now my guy's going to come up here. I think I will drop that off right here. So this is going to be whenever I gain a reputation, I gain an extra reputation, but just one per like turn. And so now I'll spend 3 in order to get 10 points. I'll also use my Market Blitz. Get that 3 back. And now I'm out of workers, so I will bring them back. Let's get 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I'm going to take 2 of those back. And for 2 of them, I'm going to get 2 more ads. Okay, there we go. And then for my 1 action, I want to get this worker, you know. Only costs 3. And 2 more funding bonuses. Let's go 1, 2, there. Or no, here. Okay, done. She's going out into space. That's 2 reputation. And then is bringing them back. Back to me. Boom. We're now here. I have to spend another 3 in order to get 6 points. Oh, I just noticed I forgot to do something. When we finished here on this progress track, we need to put out the NPC's pieces. That worker becomes an expert. And because she already has a piece there, she's not going to place that one there. It just goes out of play. Sorry about that. Forgot to do that, but I don't think that affected too much. It does affect my play here, though. Nevertheless, coming here. Now, I have this agenda card. It says recycled segment. Move 1 ship segment from one of your launched ships to another one of your ships, following normal building restrictions. Then gain money equal to its victory points plus 2. So let's take our robot arena, move it over here to our 3rd ship. That's going to be 3 plus 2. That's going to be 5 money. Whoops. And now I want to build one of these blueprints. We're going to go cheap. That's going to be 2 plus 1, 3. And boom. Lose a reputation. Now I think that's the only thing I wanted to build. We're going to make this nice and small. I'm then just going to spend 2 money to get 2 resources and 2 ads. Go like that. She moves right there. And is getting 8 points. All right, here we go. Right there. Oh, whoops. Gonna put our expert out first. Doing a double build. Gonna start with 1. And then is adjacent, so we'll take another action. Ooh, okay. Gonna advertise on the 4th cruise. And that's gonna be 2 reputation. That is slightly annoying. And now, look at this. She has completed this one right here. She now has more than 6 tiles. Or she has exactly 6. So she's going to put a cube out. And it doesn't matter which one at this point. Although, let's see. They do correspond to 1, 2, and 3. So that is actually their number 2. If they were to have built that before we accomplished ours, then that would have made the number 2 go up and be more expensive. So her goals kind of correspond to ours, but we don't make her goals more expensive. She can only make ours more expensive by doing them first. Okay, well, things are coming to a close rapidly. I'm thinking of... Oh no, I can't do that yet because I have to schedule. I have to schedule one of these. Well, I'll just go ahead and schedule that one down there, shouldn't I? So either way, I'm gonna bump her. Yeah, there's no getting around it. Okay, fine. Bumped. Get 2 victory points. And oh, I gotta do this first. I'm moving in space. So let's see here. I got 3 purples, so that's going to move me up 3 on here. 1, 2, 3. I'm getting 2 ads and a good. Oh, and when I move up 1 extra, so I'm also getting a money. And now I'm going to schedule down there. I'll flip this to get the 1 victory point. And then... Oh, wait, I forgot my orange guy. He'll give me a good. Great. Sorry. Losing track of things here. Yeah, I'll... Must have been 3. That'll give me 2 money and 2 more... reputation. That'll be a 3rd money and a good. Okay. Now over here, she comes back. Gets a point. Nope, that's 6, so not getting this guy yet. But, ooh, doing this. And gonna get that. So she's finally getting her 2nd goal. She's going to put this out on 2. Oh, and this goes here. Going to go all the way around and bump me out. And I'll take the 2 ads. She's going to get a 2nd action. Oh, no. So she's going to do a launch. She takes the person that she just placed out. And she's going to launch the ship that she hasn't launched. Taking that one. I'm going to go ahead and put her 2 cubes in. Also for that. In this last space, you can just put any number of cubes there. There's like a little overflow spot. She has plenty of fuel. She's actually getting 3, 4, 5, 6. And now she just launched her second, which means she puts another cube out. So there we go. We both completed all of our goals. Oops, she's putting out these cubes. So there we go. So wow, she's going to get a ton of points from that. Now, because that's full, that's actually going to trigger the end of the game. Okay, so let me refill some stuff, and then we're going to have the final round. So the first thing that happens in the final round is we take back all of our workers. So let's see here. I guess I'll just take 2 more ads. I then get to play out my final turn as normal. So they're going to advance there. We're going to have to spend 4 to get 8 points. I'm then going to take my turn by launching. Now, there were unfortunately 2 people here, and I can only house 1 of them. So when that happens, you actually lose 2 reputation. But I get to put a cube out. I'm going to need 2 food, 2 oxygen. Actually, I need 1 less food, right? Because of my power. And then I'm going to need 3 fuel. I'll spend 1, so I only need 2. And then look at this. I get 2 points for every cube I have on the progress track. I have 7 out there, so that's 14 points. That was a really good one right there. To take that. Boom. Going to empty space, getting 2 reputation. Okay. Going there. Oh, wow. Yeah, can't take 2 of the agendas, so is going to do a double build. So I was going to have to get one of these. Doesn't get a second action. And now the last thing we get to do is we get to advance our cruise to any spot that we want. And so I'll advance my cruise to here, and I'll spend just the 1. I'll drop this off. And that'll just be 5 points. And then she'll advance to here and get 8 points. Oh no, she'll drop this off. So that's going to be 10 points. All right. And there we go. That is the end of the game. Now we just need to count up our final score and see who won. Okay, let's start with Rachel first. I think she might have me here, actually. She's going to have some big end game scoring. The first thing she needs to score is her progress. She has 5 cubes there, plus she's leading here on the reputation track, so that's going to be 6 cubes, and 4 of those, that's going to be 24 points. We then look at her reputation, and she has passed this marker here, so she's getting 15. We then add up her ship segments. And here we have 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We then look at where she got on her developments. And she cleared out both of these 2 rows. And it shows up there at the top. That's worth 15 points. And then we have to look at the cockpit scoring. And the way she scores is basically you just add up the points once again from the cockpit and all of her segments. So here it's just 1, 2, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. But she didn't launch this one, so this is a -5. So that's just going to be 13 points. You add all that up together, and that is 81 points of in-game scoring. And right now she's at 79. So she's going to go to 160. That's going to be tough for me to catch up to, especially since my in-game scoring is going to be pretty bad. So first of all, I just have 1 cube up there times the 4, so I'm just getting 4 points. For reputation, I almost got to the 8, but not quite, so I'm just here at the 3. That 5 points could be all the difference. I'm 1 space away. There might have been a way for me to get that 1. I'm not sure. We're now going to do our ship segments. 5, 8, 9, 10, 13, 15, 18. For developments, we didn't do very well, so we just get these 5 points for clearing out that column. And now we do each of our cockpits. So this one is worth 1 point for every segment in all the ships. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one is 2 points for every 3. And let's see here. We have 1, 2, 3 times 2. So that's going to be 6. And then this one is 2 points for every cube. And we have 7. So that's 14. And we get to score one extra little thing. We get to score our leftover supplies. Now, Rachel doesn't get to do that, but we do. So let's just add up all of our supplies here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have sort of 13 extra things. We would also count if we had any agenda cards left over or any blueprints. So we have 13, we divide that by 3, and so we're going to get 4. When you add all that up, we get 61 in-game points, which means our final score is 164. And I actually just realized something. I don't know if you score these 4 points. I just assumed that if you didn't fly this, it was -5 instead of those 4 points. But it could just be you add those 4 points and get the -5. So it's possible that she has 4 more points and that we're tied. Apparently the tiebreaker is whoever has the most cubes on the progress track. And we have 7 to her 6. So it looks like either way, no matter how you do it, it looks like we won the game. Now, I made a bunch of mistakes there. I especially made a mistake with moving these NPCs. You can't bump out your own pieces, and I know I did that a couple of times. But I kept it consistent, so Rachel was also getting to do that. I'm going to call that a win. That is a complete solo game of Galactic Cruise. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.